Welcome. On this channel, I do unscripted, unedited videos of Linux programming and stuff. If you're new to the channel, check out video number 1, it explains the format, and video number 23 explains the current project. In the previous video, I was trying to reincorporate Unity tests back into the project. I had experimented with them prior to starting this project in a standalone file in video 7. When I was just working through it in the previous video, I ran into some kind of problem. It really seemed like I wasn't including the framework right or something. It didn't really make sense. I stopped back to look at the old videos and I don't see any obvious issue. It seemed to almost be exactly the same code. And so I'm just going to have to work through the problem here. Let me just close all of this. And let's take a look at what I have in the test folder. So I have the Unity C, Unity H, and the Unity internals. And if I look at test Unity H, this one will include the internals from this and expects it in the same directory. And if I look at Unity, is that what I did? Did I just totally leave out Unity C? I might have done that. We'll find out in just a second. If I look in Unity C, it's going to pull Unity H in. So if I go to my test main C, yeah, that is exactly what I did. The only thing I need to pull in is Unity tests and then my tests, I believe. So let's try that again. Make tests. That is exactly the mistake I was making in the previous video. Okay, so we can move forward with this a little bit now. It was just a real simple oversight. I just didn't notice that I was pulling in the H, or that I was not pulling in the C file. Let's take a brief look at the make file. Here I was talking about my desired targets in the previous. The relevant ones right now are that make tests builds the actual test files. My intention is that I'll have an individual test file for each of the frameworks, as well as probably an all that just runs them all. That's my future intention for, actually I might not have the make all, I might just have the make file when I run tests, run all of them or something. We'll see how I do it. But right now, I've short-circuited that a bit, and I simply am going to have a single test runner that runs it for all of the modules. Okay, so I have those two targets. I build tests here, which is just the test main C. It outputs as space captain dash test. And then I have the test target to directly, just to make it easier to type. Okay. And then I should have the test, which is what runs those tests. So if I make let's make sure that vim makefile, let's make sure that the phony test target should depend on the actual test file being there. And so if I run make test, we'll build it and then we run the tests. And there we can see we run all the way through it and we get the output from the test framework, which is exactly what we wanted. So if I go into here, let's start to clean this up. I don't need my puts hello here. If I go into my config tests, I actually don't need to do anything in any of these right now. But what I would like to do is actually make sure I can have a running test. And if I make test now, I have 1 test and 0 failures, 0 ignored. That is appropriate. Notice that I am not including anything here. but I do want to actually include the module that I'm going to test, right? And that is in the source file, and it is config.h. Let's make sure that builds. Make test. Okay, so that blows up. Okay, I see what's going on here, I think. First off, it hasn't been proven to me that these are needed, so I'm going to leave them out. And then second, you guys probably couldn't see that, but right. What I did was I pulled out the set long jump and what is it? Set. So standard I/O I'm already including. Actually, I am just going to leave these here because that way I don't have to go hunt it down once I figure out I need it. But I'm going to comment it out. Okay, so I'm blowing up when I load config H and config C, but it's because the things that they depend on aren't being required. And so I have a couple ways to fix this, and I think that the most obvious is just to put the dependencies for these into config H. And so let's split here. Config H cannot be currently empty. So split. I want to go into source and I want to grab config H, right? And the first thing I need to do here is wrap the config file in the conditional. So do the typical if not defined. And again, been so long since I wrote C, I can't do. Oh, I can just cheat. I'm here. And I can look at Unity. So if not defined, I probably should give it like a top level, like a project, so space captain. Space captain. If not defined, space captain. Config. Actually, maybe I do want to just. Then we define space captain config, right? And is it just end if? Yeah. Right. Okay, so I was doing that. Okay, so I'm suddenly realizing it's still probably not even necessary. This is one of those odd things I was trying to do, is not do this until I found out it was necessary. And what I'm just realizing is that source config C is where I would load it's not going to be missing any files relative to my project. It's only going to be missing the standard includes, related to what's going on here, which is malloc, which is going to be in stdlib.h, right? And that might be the only thing that's in here. And so now if I run make tests, in the error handling, I have the int types and include standard int.h and include int types.h. So there it makes the tests. There it runs the tests. And I think I'm going to change that. Okay, so, if this is the way I end up writing everything, then of course I'll remove these standard defines here, and it's mostly you just pull in these. They'll pull in whatever they need. So that's an update that I need to do. Okay, so that is what a test, a shell of a test looks like. We're not actually testing anything. We're not actually using any of the code in here, but we certainly could. Okay. So now what I want to do is I should look and find the Unity tests license and stick that with it. In fact, maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down into tests. I'll do that. So sorry for the pause there. I was trying to decide if I wanted to segregate vendor files, external supplied code from code that I've written. And I think that I do. I just don't know where I want to put it. So for example, I could, and this is what I'm going to do for the moment, and it probably won't be how it stays, but I could create a directory and just call it I don't know what I want to call it. So what I'm going to do is inside of the test folder, I'm going to make a directory called vendor, and I'm going to move Unity into vendor. And then in main, it's bugging me because it's not being used. In main, this just becomes vendor Unity. Make tests. Okay, so now if I go back into the test folder, I currently have config tests. If I take a look inside of the source folder, right, we also have, so we have config, we have game, network, and state. I know that I want to do state, so we can copy that to state tests.c. and I can, oh, I don't want to move it. So we can cp stator tests into config tests.c, as well as into state tests.c, as well as into game tests.c and network tests.c. And then I want to rm stator test.c. Now, if we open all of those up, this file is config, and it's loading config, and we're going to say test config foo. Get rid of that one. Oops. What we got going on here? This one is network tests. So let's just replace config with network. And this will become network foo. All right, that looks good. So here, let's replace config with state, and then it'll be state foo. That should be it. So now if I go back to main, I can have oops. Okay, Word doesn't underscores. It makes sense that it isn't, but the underscore wasn't a boundary in Word, and that was what I was trying to use. State tests and network. Oops. Network tests. And game tests, and I should be able to have config foo, state foo, network foo, and game foo. Oh. Does this, okay, so this is going to be an experiment. So this one is just going to be state. That's interesting that, I wonder if Unity Begin is just like, because notice the file names didn't even match the right thing. So I wonder if it's just a marker to begin the suite, and it obviously isn't actually referencing the file there. So if I do state tests and config tests and call that, do I get... in the wrong directory? Okay, so let me back up here. Now I only have config tests again. And that works. As soon as I pull that in, redefinition of setup. Okay, that makes sense. So does that mean, let's take a look at this. E-test. Well, we'll just look at, darn it, what directory am I in here? So I'm in server. Vim test main, as well as test config. So what I was hoping to do is, I mean, in the long term, I do want to have a test per module. But right now, it doesn't look like I get an easy way to have setup and teardown on a per module basis if I am kind of incorporating them all into the same main this way. Then I only get this one here. So in config test, I cleaned it up. I need to clean it up in state test and not have these there. And then I should be able to make test. So config test was ran and passed, and interestingly, it says 1 test, 0 failures. I'm guessing that it's because of this line right here. So now we do have the 2 tests. Okay, so this is all about what it considers a test suite. This isn't going to be perfect, but it's how I'm going to end up leaving it for the time being. I didn't want to get too hung up in tests right now. I'm not even really using them. I'll come back and revisit a little. Vim source. No, don't want that. Vim. I got a bunch of cleanup here to do regardless. So Vim test. Maybe I will work my way through this, but okay, so config tests is just that. That one is just that. So this one is main. It should keep them. This is network. It should not. This is game test. It should not. And I was just noticing as I did that, I have to make sure my includes match. So here, this is for config, that's correct, but this one is for game. This one is for network. That's fine, and this one is for state. Okay, at the very least, now, given how I've chosen to done this, given how I've chosen to do this, what I need to do is, so I'm going to open. So this is config H, but I want state source state C, and at the top of this, we're going to end up with the same includes, right? Because I am still using malloc. If this is the route that I'm going, then in truth, I'd have nothing here because each of the individual files is going to include what it needs. And so I'm going to start by getting... Let's start. You guys couldn't see that. I think I'm going to end up, you know, kind of doing a little rearranging here. What I'm realizing, I think I do want to do this, where these are not required. I am pulling these in, followed by the C files to make the conditional builds. But what that means is I'm going to have a whole pile of errors to go through. So the easy way to do that is to postpone it to the next video. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. What does make test do right now? Oh, it's because I did this, right? No. So let's get back to, is it because I am pulling in the other two types? It probably is. So it's having a problem. Oh, I don't want to do that. Vim source. I didn't. Okay, I was talking to myself in circles. Okay, so make test. Vim. So does it work if I do these? These are relatively. I'm just including this stuff. Okay, so those do blow up. That's not surprising. So we'll leave those out for now, and then we'll pick up in the next video. I will continue to work this out, get it to play nice together on both sides. I'm not going to fix the fact that everything is packed into a single test suite or whatever this is. I'm not going to address that. Maybe I can actually, maybe I should look. Maybe there's like a Unity begin and then a Unity begin suite kind of thing. But what I will come back and do is clean up the includes so that they work both for the tests and the not the tests. So see you in the next video.